Hello guys, and welcome back to Civilization 5 Brave New World as Germany, and hopefully still on our way towards a cultural victory. Couple of quick things since the last video. I know quite a lot of you have got in touch with me and sent me messages or left comments, so let's clear a few things up. Firstly, in the last video, I was rushing towards Oxford University, which apparently I didn't need to do because that is in fact one of the national wonders, not a world wonder, meaning that every single Civ can build it once. Now, one thing that's always been a little bit of confusion to me within Civ 5 is which of the wonders are actually world wonders and which of them are national wonders, because, to be quite honest, it doesn't really give anything away here. They're all listed under wonders. So the Circus Maximus, for example, the East India Company and the Grand Temple are all national wonders. As is the Musicians Guild, of course, but I already knew that. Now, apparently, the way to tell is that if these wonders require a prerequisite building or number of buildings to be built, then they are in fact a national wonder. And to be fair, if these had have been world wonders, they'd have already been nabbed by now anyway. To be quite honest, I didn't actually realise there were that many national wonders in the game. If we have a look at the Civlopedia and go to wonders, see, we've got our list of world wonders here, but if we go down to the bottom, we actually have a list of the national wonders. I mean, some of them obviously, it's in the name: National College, National Epic, National Intelligence Agency, and National Visitor Centre. Never realised that the university was, to be honest. That is the one in that entire list, maybe with the exception of the Hermitage. The Oxford University is the one that I would have assumed would have been a world wonder and not a national wonder. But there you go, I was wrong. So thanks for pointing that out. That's certainly going to improve my game, actually, because I'm now no longer going to be worrying about rushing to get the university, although it is certainly worth having early on, so I'm not too bothered about that. One of the other comments that's been made, of course, is that going to war with the Iroquois isn't a particularly good idea because acts of war reduce your chances of diplomacy, and that doesn't particularly help you in a cultural victory. Now, while this is true, the last thing I also want is for them to get too big because they are my neighbours, and while they're not really claiming a lot of valuable resources that I would prefer to have, they are pretty much splitting up my territory. Now, I don't feel that I need to expand much more at the moment, so I might well leave them alone. But if they attack me, if they go to war, which they probably will at some point, I might use that as an opportunity to seize Grand River. Now, somebody did suggest that if they do go to war, I'm better off trying to take their capital just to sort of slow them down and get them to leave me alone, which is a valid point, but as far as warmonger goes, I would get a major warmonger penalty for Grand River, but I'd get an extreme warmonger penalty for taking their capital. So that is something I'd like to avoid. Third thing was finding out if people consider you to be a warmonger. Yes, I know that you can find out by mousing over this little section here, and obviously they a lot of them consider me a warmonger. But the point I was making is you can't find out if a particular action is going to make you be considered to be a warmonger before you've already taken that action. That's the problem there. Obviously, the Japanese consider me a warmonger. These guys have some early concerns about my warmongering, but they overlook modest warmongering, so they're not too bothered. The Incans, who are currently my friends, they do not care at all. They don't consider me to be a warmonger in the slightest. The Chinese, we've built wonders that they wanted, boo-hoo. They dislike warmongers, but they don't hate us, so the Chinese aren't all that bothered. We can go and have a look at Rome. Again, they have early concerns. They dislike warmongers, but at the moment they're not too annoyed with us. We're friendly with Carthage. They don't seem to care at all. So, even though we have gone to war with Japan a couple of times, it hasn't affected us too much, but I do really need to avoid going to war anymore. And the fourth and final topic was this building here, the German unique building that replaces the bank, and I've been informed that my pronunciation is incorrect. Well, I was sure it was anyway because I don't speak German. I was calling it a Hans, but from what I've been told, it is closer to Hansa. That's as good as you're going to get from me, I'm afraid, but there we go. So hopefully now that is everything cleared up. Let's get on with the next turn. I'm still not too sure what I'm going to do with these settlers. They're just sort of sitting here waiting for me to find a spot that's worth setting up on. And at the moment, there hasn't been one. Hopefully, once we get some more boats out, we can have a look. But I think the AI has spread to most of the decent islands. Now, there are two concerns, really, with actually setting up a population on... Setting up a population on other pieces of land that are far away from your own causes a couple of concerns. And they are basically... First of all, even though you don't need roads to connect your cities together, and you can connect them with harbours, you do often need trade ships. And trade ships on the cities that are far out have got more chance of being caught by bandits and by barbarians. It's also harder to defend your isolated cities. But the major issue is workers, because you've either got to keep shifting workers backwards and forwards between these remote cities, or you end up having to build workers at each city, which is a bit of a mess. Just having a quick look, because I keep seeing these ancient ruins that we've missed, but to get to any of them seems to take an awfully long time, and I don't necessarily think it's worth the risk of sacrificing a unit to get to them. So I'm not going to bother doing that. These guys do need orders. I'm going to go back to the original plan of leaving these guys on the hill, because that seems to be the best spot for... In fact, I'm going to take these guys back and upgrade them, because we found out in the last video that these guys were actually our scouts from very early on, so they actually have the ignores terrain cost benefit, as well as the promotion of altitude training. So I want to try and keep this unit for as long as I can, because it'll have brilliant mobility. I'm going to take it back to our territory and get it upgraded into a crossbowman. Why not? There's nothing else particularly going on. I know I was trying... What is this boat doing currently? Is it just sitting there? I think I was going to bring it back here and get it healed up before we take it off anywhere else. That's probably what it's doing. So let's go on to the next turn. And hopefully we can get some of these other national wonders built and just get the benefits from them. Most of the wonders will always give you a benefit, and if you can build a wonder, it's worth building it. Obviously, you've got to prioritise. Some of them are going to be more useful for you depending on the victory type you're going for and what sort of... I can't believe we've only just discovered Cape Town. Depending on what sort of victory type you're going for and also what resources you've got available, you do have to prioritise. But it's worth building any wonder that you can. National wonders, again, because they just give you a bonus or a benefit of some kind. If it's a world wonder, by building it, you're stopping your opponents from building it, which is always a good thing. So those workers have now finished. Where should we go? Well, we could go over here, and that's within 3 tiles, so we could build another trading post, or we could build another lumber mill. I think we might go trading post. We do want to start getting some money in. And you guys are going to stay on alert there. And again, another turn where we couldn't do an awful lot. We are starting to get these workers back. Hopefully we'll get them to our territory before they get destroyed by the Iroquois or the Japanese, sorry. We're not actually at war with anybody at the moment, although that could all change. She still wants to give me 1 gold per turn to open borders. No, I will I don't even know why I'm doing this, because I know she won't do it. Yeah. If you don't want to open your borders to me, I don't want to open my borders to you. That should be simple by now. Okay, so we have now discovered every civilization in the world, which means that the World Congress has now been founded. So the host gets 2 delegates, which will be as this time, because we founded it. 1 delegate for every other civilization. So, good stuff. Alright, let's have a look. Unidentified spies stole secrets of machinery from Berlin. Johann has been promoted from recruit to agent. Agent Johann in Rome uncovered that Augustus Caesar is plotting against Dido. And he's also constructing the Forbidden Palace. And he gathered enough intelligence to steal a technology from Rome. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is... Well, we're currently researching astronomy, but astronomy takes 8 turns, and steel only takes, I think, 5 at the moment. So let's just steal astronomy. That's going to annoy Rome, of course. What I do want to do now is take my spy and move him from Rome, because now that Rome know he's there, they may well put a counter spy in there, which could essentially leave me in trouble. I could try and steal from someone else, but I don't think that anybody else... I mean, I think Rome was the only one that had more technology than me, and they only had a couple. So I think we're going to put the spy in Berlin, now that it's a rank 2 spy, on counterintelligence, and because we are probably the highest person now in technology, which we are, people are more likely to be trying to steal from us. We're doing quite well across the board. We still don't have the most food. We are slightly behind Rome. We're also behind Rome on soldiers, and we are behind the Inca on happiness. But apart from that, we're top for everything else, so that's good going so far. So now we've finished astronomy, let us go back to the technology tree and see what we would like to have. We could go for the Hermitage, of course, which would give us another great 3 great works of art slots, plus 2 culture, plus 50% culture in the city. Needs an opera house built everywhere. I think that is what we've got to go for this type of victory. That is probably the most important thing. One other thing that was said in the comments as well is that when I get a great artist, if I don't have a great work of art slot available, I should actually save them instead of popping them there and then for a golden age. Now, while I do agree that sometimes that is the case, I think early on, because I don't have all that many great works of art slots, I'd actually be generating great artists faster than I'd be generating great art slots. I already popped 2 for golden ages, but don't underestimate the value of a golden age, because the golden age gives you an extra 20% culture, plus it gives you extra gold and production. So, you know, the culture, if you've got a high culture to begin with, the extra 20% from the golden age can be well worth popping a great artist for. So it's my turn to commit a proposal. Probably won't really get an awful lot, to be honest. We could go for the World's Fair. The World's Fair is one of the ones that is usually not opposed by anybody. Most of them conflict. So obviously arts funding and science funding are kind of opposites. And, you know, you'll always, like you can see, the Inca would like arts funding. The Inca would be angry with arts funding, but they'd be happy with science funding. And Songhai in China would be angry with science funding, but happy with arts funding. So they sort of conflict. The same really goes with things like cultural heritage sites, natural heritage sites, scholars in residence as well. The Inca and the Japanese would be grateful if we did that. But the World's Fair is generally a good one to go for, because you can guarantee that nearly everyone will always vote for it. There's hardly ever a reason not to, unless someone is literally in the middle of building a lot of stuff and they don't think they're going to have the spare production to put into it, and they try and delay it for a vote or two. But if you get gold for doing this, 100% increase in culture for 20 turns. Plus you also get the silver and the bronze, so you get increase of 100% culture for 20 turns, and a free social policy, and 500 points towards the next golden age. So that is well worth having. So we'll go and put that in there. We don't know how much longer we are going to be the host for, so it's worth getting that one in nice and early while we can. So Munich has now finished its Colosseum. So let's go right ahead and get that opera house in there, because we are working our way towards building the Hermitage, because that's probably the most important one. I do want to get the East India Company up and running, so we will do that as soon as we can. Now we have Leaning Tower of Pisa, Leaning Tower of Pisa, or the Globe Theatre. Now, the Globe Theatre contains great works of writing slots, so again I'd prefer to have that in the capital. The Leaning Tower of Pisa increases the production of great people in all cities. So it doesn't really matter where this one goes. Potentially putting it in the capital would be better, because that +1 culture would be added to a city that has more benefits and bonuses to culture. But the main purpose of having this is for the 25% faster generation of great people, but that affects all cities. So we're going to go for that one and get that built in Hamburg. Hamburg is currently on default focus, 15 turns. If we put it on production focus, we go down to 14 turns. It only shaves 1 turn off, but we will do that. And then we'll try and get this city switched to some hardcore science. Now, we could upgrade you to a caravel, actually, for 160 gold, and I think we may do that. just so we can get around and do a little more exploring with you. You guys have finished whatever you were doing there, so I think you're going to come here and... yeah, we probably could do with another farm or two, so I don't have any issue with that. And we were going to build... now, were we going... no, we weren't going to build a holy site here, were we? We were going to spread our religion, so we are going to... yeah, we're going to spread Voltology to Cologne. And then we're going to go and do the same to Geneva on the next turn. And a unit needs orders, of course it does. Right, you guys are trying to get back to friendly territory, but you're kind of stuck behind all of the junk that's in the way. Well, we're going to get you in the water and try and leapfrog you past these Japanese units as soon as we can. You guys are here. We're going to promote you as well to crossbowmen. Now, that does leave us a little bit short of money, but 57 gold per turn at this stage isn't terrible. It's not great either, but it isn't terrible, so I don't mind that too much. Obviously, the Inca are quite happy that we made the proposal. Yep, they liked your proposal to World Congress, so that helps solidify that friendship a little bit more. Hopefully it will with Rome as well, of course. So even though Rome have some early concerns about our warmongering, and they're a little bit annoyed that our spies nicked technology from them, they actually liked our proposal to the World Congress, so it does balance out, and they are still neutral. The reason he's coming to me, though, is he would like me to go to war with China for him. So he has concerns about my warmongering, but he wants me to help him fight China. No. Not getting involved with that. You finish it, you go and like destroy each other, and I might come in and sort of mop up the leftovers, but apart from that, I am not getting involved with that one. It's too far away for me to be concerned with anyway. So, units need orders. You guys have done what I wanted you to, so you can go back there atop your hill. This should take us up to these workers, which... yeah, let's go for production. Why not? And then we should be back to the Prophet, who is going to go... we'll move into the hill on this turn, and then on the next turn we should be able to move in there and pop. Another unit needs orders. This Caravel, you're going to heal up, because I've just paid 100 gold to upgrade you, so I don't want you destroyed on the same turn. Ah, right, okay, we might be able to land these guys. Well, I can't land them, but I can certainly get them to here, and then they should be able to land on the next turn. Not sure I've got a lot of use for those workers at the moment. I seem to have a bit of an abundance because most of the workable tiles have been upgraded. Luckily, our borders have expanded right the way up here to Mount Kilimanjaro. So what I could do potentially is build a road through here and use that as a very quick run through to just tag that with every unit just to get the altitude training. That might not be a bad idea, to be honest. Compass stolen. We've had another spy steal from Berlin, so our counter spy is not doing a particularly great job. He is there on counterintelligence, but not earning his wage at the moment. So, okay, Berlin has now finished its construction. Leaning Tower we can't do because we're doing that somewhere else. East India Company, we still need a market in Cologne. Circus Maximus, we still need a Colosseum in Cologne. We should probably go for the Musicians Guild, but the Globe Theatre is definitely a world wonder. There's definitely only one of those allowed, so let us go for that one, so we don't lose that to anybody else. And now you guys can get out of there. Brilliant. And you guys are going to go into Geneva, and you're going to spread religion. Probably get told off for trespassing on the next turn, but we now have Voltology in Geneva as well. I wonder if they're actually going to get attrition for being there. I can never remember the way it works with city-states. I know how it works with other civilizations. Basically, if they have open borders, you're fine. If they don't have open borders, you will take attrition. You guys are going to just fortify up on that hill. Let's go back up here and have a look. Iroquois turn, Carthage turn, Inca turn. Then the Romans, the Japanese... and the Songhai, the Chinese, and city-states. A lot of city-state stuff going on. You can actually see Geneva have actually become friendly with us now. Citizens of Geneva are glad to see Voltology come to their city and become the dominant religion. Your influence over them has increased by 40. Influence over Geneva has increased to the point where you are now friends. As a religious state, they share the knowledge of the rituals with you and you get 4 faith per turn. They've also given you permission to move units through their territory, which is the same as open borders, so I won't have taken any attrition anyway. So the next thing to do is get myself down to Incan territory. And we do have open borders with them, so that should be fine. Or at least the last time I checked we had open borders. Let's just go and check and make sure that is still the case. Yep, we already have open borders. We could possibly go for a defensive pact. Not necessarily the smartest thing to do, though. It would mean that if the Iroquois attacked me, he'd have to get involved. But, again, he's a little bit too far away to be all that useful, really. Okay, we've got these workers here, and they want to build a trading post there. No reason why you can't, so let's go for it. Actually, a good suggestion. You guys, I would like to get the rest of the silver connected up, because getting that silver connected up would then give me an extra one to trade, but I think what we're going to do for the time being is get a farm built, just so we've got the ability to get some food going in this city. And you guys are doing what there exactly? Not an awful lot left for you guys to do. In fact, I'll tell you what you guys can do. You guys are going to go to this hex here and going to build a road. Just a road for 4 hexes, just so we can run to Mount Kilimanjaro and back with our military units. Because double movement in hills is very, very useful, particularly on a map like this where there's lots of, you know, every other tile's a hill. Still not too sure what all this unit shuffling is going on over these sort of 3 or 4 hexes here. We've had the Incans doing it for ages. We've had the Japanese doing it for ages. Surely they must have realised there's a little bit of an army here, and attacking here is probably not the best thing they could do. Right, oh, it wants to build a trading post. That's very strange. Oh, we can't actually build a farm here because it's tundra. Of course, it does provide us food, but we can't build a farm, which is a pain. So we're very, very limited to what we can do here for food. So we are going to carry on and just keep building the mines then. We might as well just use it to churn out money and not have it grow. That seems like the most sensible thing to do, really. Going to go for the next turn. Now makes me think if I should just make this my sort of money powerhouse. And if I get a great merchant, I should possibly use him here to build a customs house. But I'm not necessarily sure that we've got enough population to work the tile. Though we should have. We're up to 5 already. That's not terrible. A unit needs orders. Right, you guys are going to route to here. And just build a straight road over to the mountain. You guys have finished whatever you were doing. This is the problem now. It's like I have too many workers. I don't have anything left for them to do. Let's get up here. That is... Oh, let me just check this. 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. No, that hex is too far away for me to actually work. So there's no point building anything there. Of course, these hexes are fine. A couple of hexes up near Berlin that we haven't done anything with yet. Where did that worker go? I've still got it selected, actually. So let's tell you guys to go up here. And we'll build something there on the next turn. Caravel, I suppose now can continue exploring as we can now go through deep ocean tiles. I'm going to probably move them around manually now just to try and uncover bits of the map that I didn't have uncovered last time. Got another unit needing orders. You seem to be stuck, sir. What is your problem? Not sure why you're stuck, but let's move you to there. And go on to the next turn. So we've got 2 more uses of this great prophet. Okay, they are going to war with the... So, right, so both Carthage and the Romans seem to want to go to war with China. That's interesting. I mean, China is the 2nd biggest power on the map. They actually overtook Rome. I didn't see how many turns ago that was. And I see that the Songhai seem to be doing a little bit better for themselves as well. We found Babylos. Or Biblos. May purchase with faith. Right, got a lot of stuff we can do here. First of all, let's try moving this guy in if we can. Which indeed we can. Munich has now finished its opera house. So, what would be best for us here? What would be the most advantageous thing? Still not actually working any water tiles, so that is pretty pointless. Happiness isn't too bad at the moment, so we should probably go for the Hansa and get us some additional money. The good thing is that the 5% production per trade route your civilization has with city-state doesn't mean that the city-state connections have to be with the city that has the Hansa. I mean, this replaces a bank, so I can build as many as I want. I can build one in every city. But even if I just built one of these in Munich, and all of my trade routes were connecting to Berlin, I'd still get that 5% production bonus per city-state connected, even if they're not delivering to the city that has the Hansa. So that's actually a nice building to have. Okay. So what were you guys going to do? Well, you guys might as well come over here now. I don't think we need another farm, do we? I think our growth in Hamburg isn't too bad. So I think we go for a trading post. I'm sure there's something later on that I can use that actually gets me science from trading posts as well. So let's go and construct a mine here. Now obviously it's going to take an awful long time to build anything at Cologne. So this is where we are going to have to start purchasing things. So we could either go for the market so that we could build the East India Trading Company, or we could go for the Colosseum so we could build the Circus Maximus. I think we're going to go for the market though, to be quite honest, now that we can afford it. We've accumulated enough faith to make a purchase, although we're limited to great prophets, missionaries and inquisitors, so I'm going to keep that on remind me later, although it'll probably end up auto-purchasing a prophet. It's usually what ends up happening. You can continue just to move around here, and we've now met Genoa. Okay, and that's pretty much all we can do there as well. I'm just trying to find a little piece of land that we might be able to settle on. If not, I might just disband that settler just to save Forbidden Palace. That's fine, we knew he was building it, didn't really care about it. So yeah, I mean, I could always settle a city down here, though I don't know how useful that would be. At least it would certainly put me a little bit closer to having a monopoly down here. We've got a great writer in Berlin. Declaration of Friendship has expired with Carthage. Well, hopefully we can go and renew that. So let's go straight in with Dido and discuss Declaration of Friendship. And she's happy to accept. So that is fine. Not friendly with anybody else. Obviously, Japan is quite guarded, so the Iroquois, because we went to war with both of them. But neutral with Rome. I wonder if Rome would go for a declaration of friendship. I'm guessing it's probably unlikely. No. Didn't think he would, but it was worth a try. Okay, right. Now, you guys I said... Are you the guys I was going to send up there? I don't think you are. What were you guys going to do? 1, 2, 3. You can actually build there. That's close enough to Hamburg to build something useful. You guys are going to get to there. And that's going to be your movement used for this turn, sadly. We've got a stacked unit. We are going to create a great work. And that'll put our tourism up from 16 to 18, hopefully. There we go. There's a little bit of a delay there. Not too sure what was going on. Let's just have a look and see if there's anything we can move around. We do have Oxford University, which has 2 works for writing. Now, the theming bonus here, make sure the great work slots are filled with writings from different eras and civilizations other than the city owner. So that means all of the writings that I have are useless for this because they're all German. So what I want to do is swap great works. And I want to... This is writing, art, and artifacts, as it says at the top. There isn't one for music, because, you know, you can't really swap music. It's not a physical thing. So we want to swap a piece of great writing. Now, all the ones we have are German, so it doesn't really matter which one we swap. So let us swap our medieval piece, and let us swap it with the Incans medieval piece. And we will go swap. So now we've just traded one of our great works with the Incans, and somewhere we will have... Where is it? Right there, Incan Medieval. So that is going to go in place of that. And then what we'll do on the next turn because you can only make one swap per turn. On the next turn, we'll swap one of our other pieces of writing with another civilization, and then as long as we make sure it isn't medieval, and I think it can be from the Incan, make sure the Great Work slots are filled with writings from different eras and from civilizations other than the city owner. So I think they could technically both be from the same civilization, as long as they're not mine. But we'll pick another Civ anyway, because it just makes more sense. And it's safer. Always better to take the safer option. So let's keep scouting around down here. We know about Tokyo, of course. We saw them pop that one up very sneakily on the last video. Yeah, friends with Carthage. Well, that's all fine. Obviously, Japan's borders are starting to extend towards this little piece of land here. Not an awful lot I can do about that, but I think we will be safe. And the land seems to be expanding here again for the Iroquois as well. Still not sure whether or not I should try and take that bit of land down here. We've also got this Chinese city that's just popped itself up here. That's not particularly nice. That's a bit close to me. Not liking that very much at all. Not an awful lot I can do about it. They've got another settler here as well, look. Looks like the Chinese are trying to claim every little bit of land that there is. And I think that's a very, very good argument for me trying to get a settler here before somebody else lands and tries to build a city here. So that might well be a plan. But I would like to get some of the other things built first, because I don't want to end up getting myself into a position where I am having to rush by buildings in other cities so that I can build the national wonders. But what I am going to do is I'm going to get this settler down here and try, if I can, to get them down to this end of the map in one piece. Probably a bad idea, but I'm certainly going to give it a go. Let's go for a lumber mill here and go for more production into Hamburg. If we get some great scientists, actually, we'll build an academy or two down here, to be honest, but we're not really in a position to do that yet. Are we close to getting a great scientist anywhere? Still a little way off. Still away from getting a great merchant. How's it going in Berlin? Berlin still almost has a great merchant, but not quite. And they're quite a way off a great scientist as well, but we'll start getting some eventually. So, spread religion here. That hopefully will be enough to flip it over. And it is. This is mainly because that the Incans don't have their own religion. And then we will move you guys down here. This will be the last time we can use them. But we can use them from the water, so that is fine. We have a caravan, which was trading with the Iroquois. Now, do I want to keep doing that for 8 gold? 8 gold and 1 science. If I trade with for 6 gold, and then when we get the Hansa, although I think we already should have one here. I think we already built one. No, there's my wonders. No, we haven't built one there yet. But when we do, I was almost sure we had. Am I missing something? Ah, yes, there it is. It's a specialist building. So we will actually get an extra 5% production there now, because we've hooked that up with another city-state. You guys were going there for a reason. Let's have a trading post. Let's get some gold coming in where we can. Probably just do another turn or so, and then we'll call that a video. Do need, of course, to get another cargo ship or caravan set up at some point. He wants to continue opening his borders for salt. I'm more than happy to do that. Looks like the only one we're really struggling to get open borders with at the moment is China. Chinese are now attacking those last couple of barbarians. I'm assuming this is where they're going to try, and then they're bringing some reinforcements in, some more pikemen. So I assume that they're setting up a city here just to try and nab the citrus. So let's continue to have a look around. I'm guessing at this point in the game now, all of the good real estate is going to be gone. Do any of these guys actually have... Oh, we know he's got open borders because we've just done that. China won't do open borders with us. Carthage has open borders with us. Do the Songhai have open borders? Trade. Right, what would you want for opening borders? 2 gold per turn. have it with my pleasure. There we go. So we've got open borders with everyone except China at the moment. What do you want for open borders? Will you trade anything for it? If I want you to open your borders, what do you want for it? She'll now take a mutual open borders. That's very interesting. Well, I'm going to accept that. I don't think they're going to go for a cultural victory, so we should be okay. Of course, I could have just made a terrible mistake. Let's just have a look at the influence by player. I'm familiar with the Japanese. I'm popular with Carthage. I'm familiar with the Incans and the Iroquois. So we're certainly doing well here. We've actually got an 80% bonus with the Inca and the Iroquois because we have shared religion with them. As well as... we have shared religion with the Iroquois. If I had open borders with the Iroquois, which obviously isn't going to happen, we'd get another bonus there. And if we had a shared religion with the Inca, which we will do soon, then we'll get another big bonus with the Inca. Just out of interest, although I pretty much know what the answer is going to be, could we get open borders with these guys? We don't even have embassies at the moment. So let's get some embassies going on. And he's happy with that. Now, will you do open borders? He will actually do open borders. He will do open borders, but he wants mutual open borders. Well, I don't want to give him mutual open borders. Also, I don't want to give him gold. If I give you 10 gold per turn, will you open borders? If I give you 15 gold per turn, will you open borders? Yes, he will. Okay, so that's quite a bit of my gold going out, but I have open borders with him now. Which now means I get a 120% bonus to my tourism. He's going to be one of the first people to flip. And what I could potentially do is that when we get to the point where we can pick ideologies, if I can pick a different ideology to him, I mean, obviously I'll get to pick first, but if he ends up picking a different ideology to me and he gets a lot of unhappiness, then we could potentially flip one of his cities over culturally. There's another way of capturing a city. If you have too much unhappiness in your empire, and one of your cities is particularly unhappy, they can just switch over to another civilization if they are exerting enough cultural influence on you. So that is quite a possibility. Just have a look at the demographics again. Obviously, we can't see everybody individually for happiness. We know he's not at the top. Approval. Yeah, but we don't know whereabouts he is. The Chinese are at the bottom at the moment, actually. It's probably because they seem to be expanding quite aggressively at the moment. We will have one more turn, and then I think that will be it for this video. There's a lot of random pointless unit shuffling backwards and forwards here on his front lines. I'm not too sure what his plans are for that and what he's trying to do. Seems very strange, but that's the AI for you. It didn't always make sense. We've still got 60 gold per turn coming in, so I'm quite happy about that. And we'll say we can actually have another caravan, so we will do that. So we've met Sophia. Right, no, that's Chinese. I can see the border. So, yeah, I don't think there's an awful lot of land left, sadly. I did say that was going to be the last turn, but we didn't actually really do anything on it, so let's just carry on. Those are our settlers. What I want you guys to try and do, if you can, is get in the water and find your way over here. So, let's go on to the next turn. This was one of the comments that I made about this map type towards the beginning of this game, is that you really need to decide where you're going to settle first and quickly, because there simply isn't enough land for you to really take your time scouting everywhere out now. Can you guys get over here? Yes, you can. So that's exactly what you're going to do. Hopefully get to safety. Out the other side, into the water, down here. And that hill probably is a good spot to choose, to be honest. Gives us a lot of farmland. It's on a hill, which gives us a defensive bonus. Obviously, we're not going to be able to expand in this direction much. We can always try and nab some of his land with the Great General, but it seems like the thing to do. As we can see, the Chinese have a lot of random cities just popping about. Not too sure. Well, actually, we can find out how many they've got. If you want to know how many cities somebody's got, go into trade, go into cities, and you can actually see how many cities they have and their population. So again, it's a little bit of an exploit. But you can see here we've actually got 8 cities. And 4 of them only have a population of 1. So they're relatively new. And with the exception of their capital, their other cities are all quite small as well. So they've either really stalled their economy and growth. I mean, I guess quite a lot of their cities are on small bits of land. I mean, that's their capital. That's not their capital, is it? Wow. Shanghai's not even their capital. Of course it isn't. So where's their capital? Have they lost their capital? Did I miss that? Victory... Oh, wrong button. Go away. Why's the close button on a different place on every single screen? Victory progress. No, they haven't lost their capital. Beijing is their capital. Of course it is. Where is Beijing? There's Beijing. Ah. Oh, of course. Beijing doesn't appear on the list because you can't trade capitals. Of course. So they don't have 8 cities. They have 9 cities because the capital's not on the list. But yeah, a lot of their smaller cities do appear to be either very, very new or they're on very small pieces of land. And of course, they're not going to have a huge population. That's quite interesting. Okay, and I know again I'm doing this one more turn thing, but that's the way this game works. We can pop these profits for their last use, and that should be enough. There's always a bit of a delay. They've got 6 followers, but it wasn't quite enough to flip them, which is a bit of a shame. Because they have a much bigger population, of course, 6 is not the majority of 13. It's just under half, which is a bit of a shame. But we are still putting 18 pressure on them from trade routes, so there is a possibility that we will still flip them over. And then once we've got a shared religion with them, we'll have a 120% bonus to tourism with them. You want to give me golden horses for silver. I don't want horses. How about you give me 20 gold? Fair enough. Don't need the horses, just give me your money. Now we're up to 70 gold per turn, and I am happy with that. Let's let everything else resolve. Haven't had any technology stolen from us for a while, but I don't know what the effectiveness of our spy is going to be. I don't think we have a second spy yet, no. When we reach the next era, we probably will do, which will actually probably be... No, we need to go up into the industrial era before we get the next one. The unit needs orders, which is you guys. Now, what were you guys doing? You were building something, clearly. Again, not a lot for you to do. We've got a jungle over here, which I'd prefer not to remove, but it is within 3 hexes of Hamburg, so we'll probably build a trading post there. You guys have hooked up that silver, so you might as well go there and get the 3rd and final one. We can probably sell that to someone for 20 gold per turn. We're going to keep scouting around with you. Not hoping to find an awful lot. I might actually just put them on to automated, because I don't think there's a lot of land left that is worth conquering. It's just a case of, do I settle here? And I think I've got to, because if I don't take this piece of land, somebody else is going to. It's a very good piece of land because it's got a lot of forests, it's got a lot of plains, it's got deer, it's got dyes, and that would literally be a lot of food and production for somebody. I don't want somebody to nab that. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have to... I mean, down there would have been good as well. It would have been nice to get the whales, but I don't think we have dyes currently. We do not. So if we put a city here on the hill, we can nab those dyes if we are quick enough and beat the Iroquois to it, which I hope we are. These guys can get across there. Can't quite get down to the other side yet. Oh, go on then. Just one more turn. This is the problem with this game. I find it so addictive. I could just sit here for hours and hours and just play this game continuously without taking a break. The problem is, for some reason, because the game does actually look quite nice, it actually takes up quite a lot of hard drive space, so I can't usually record more than about 40 to 50 minutes before my SSD fills up, which is really annoying. So we have the Globe Theatre, so we now get a free writer and 2 great slots for great works of writing. Leaning Tower of Pisa is also completed as well, which has just reminded me we forgot to swap our great works. So we're going to go swap great works. We are going to take a medieval piece and swap it with... Well, everyone else only has medieval. Okay, so we are going to take... Ooh, hang on. Let's not be hasty. This requires from different eras, and that is medieval. So we need to swap with somebody else who doesn't have medieval, and at the moment that isn't happening. The Globe Theatre, filled with writings from the same era and same civilization. Well, we've got Renaissance Germany and we've got Renaissance Germany. So if we put that in there, And if we put that in there, we now get another bonus of 4. So that takes our total tourism up to 22. That's brilliant. Free great person. What would we most like to have? Difficult one, really. I think what I'd like to have, to be honest, I don't know. We could go for a great general and steal his land and really annoy him, because he'd love that. I'm sure he would. Could go for a great merchant and let's get some science going. Let's try and get ahead on the science tree. We haven't really had a great scientist yet. Well, we have had one, I think, but we used him. So let's go for a great scientist. So we now have a great scientist. We killed a Songhai spy in Berlin. Brilliant. And we get a promotion for that. Hamburg can build the East India Company, but I think we're going to build that in Berlin. So let's get another opera house built here. We will then build an... yeah, we'll get the opera house built first. Berlin is going to build the East India Company. And these guys need orders. You guys are going to build a trading post on the jungle, because that will keep the jungle intact. You guys are going to attempt to get down here if you can in one piece. We have a great writer, which we are going to create a great work with instantly.
I reckon I got a light out for the territory.
And that puts us up to 24. And we have our great scientist. Now what we're going to do with you, and that is actually an excellent tile to do it on. We're going to move you down there, and we are going to construct an academy. And you are now going to go on to automated. And it goes straight into China's borders. The one consideration you have to have when you have a unit, a specialist like a great engineer or a great scientist, is consider if you were to pop the great scientist, how much research would I get from it, and how long left is the game? I mean, we're only halfway through the game. There's still 250 turns left. Possibly, the game could end early, but there's possibly 250 turns left. If I was to build an academy, would that academy produce more science in those 250 turns than I would get from popping him to Russia technology? The answer is probably yes. So early on in the game, it's worth using these guys for the tile upgrades. Later on in the game, you're better off using these guys to instantly research and instantly build things. But that's about all I can do for now. I'm quite pleased with the progress there. I think... things are going along swimmingly. Hope you guys are still enjoying the show, and if you are, continue to watch, and until next time, goodbye for now.